Back on Get Up, we are back to the NBA. Bulls, Knicks, mid-90s. This would be great. Jalen Brunson, top of the key, mid-range, big shot from Brunson. Seen that out of him time and time again. Tied at 104. Bulls inbounding. Nikola Vucevic to Mikal Bridges, gets blocked by Bridges. Take another look.
I mean, that right there is why the Bulls are who they are. They have a center on a wing at the basket, at the buzzer, and he gets blocked.
Like Vucci main, Tim Bontemps thought he was going to get one in. He couldn't. Overtime, Brunson to Karl Anthony Towns, elbow, bounce.
Needed some elbow grease to get that one in.
Knicks up by 7, paid his membership dues on time. Then Kobe White drills the 3, Bulls down 2, under 10 seconds left. White under pressure, finds Vucevic, misses the fadeaway at the buzzer. Brunson, 22 points, 12 assists. Towns, 32 and 18. Knicks win yet another nail-biter, 113 to 111. And beating teams like the Bulls has really been no issue for the Knicks. But you got to be able to beat the Celtics and Cavs in the East. They haven't done that this season. Against the rest of the East, New York is 26 and 8. Their 2 losses against Boston were both by more than 20 points as well. So Windy, Tim Bontemps, Tim McMahon are back with us to talk a little NBA. And now we're getting to a stretch, Windy. I just alluded to it a second ago. You can beat up on some of the bottom teams, but now you got to prove it over the next 5 days. The Knicks have the schedule to do that. So in your mind, what can they prove over the next 5 days?
By the way, classic Bontemps there, focusing on the Bull guy missing as opposed to Mikal Bridges having arguably the defensive play of the year so far, but that's okay. That's who our guy is. So good news and bad news for the Knicks. Look, they are playing great. They have won 8 out of 10. Karl Towns and Jalen Brunson are a perfect combination offensively. But defensively, this team just isn't there, and it shows up against the Cavs and the Knicks, or the Cavs and the Celtics, because they're the worst defensive three-point team in the league. That's right, they rank 30th, and the Cavs and the Celtics are both very high in the list, both in the top 10 in terms of makes on three-pointers. In Celtics are number 1 in volume. And by the way, the Grizzlies, who they have to play next week, as in sort of this gauntlet goes on, they're in the top 5 or 6 as well. And the big challenge, though, for the Knicks is health. Josh Hart is out last night with a sore knee. We'll see if OG Anunoby or Mitchell Robinson can play this weekend. I'm going to give them the opportunity to see their full team together before I judge them, but their defense is going to maybe hold them back against these top teams.
All right, so Tim Bontemps, you heard it there. There's health issues, there's defensive issues with this team. So let's just assume the Knicks are at the height of their powers. Can they beat the Celtics or Cavs?
They can maybe beat the Cavs. They played them once earlier this year. I think they match up decently with Cleveland. They've got a couple guys to throw at Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Karl Anthony Towns can stay on Jared Allen. That's a defensive matchup he can hang with. I've been at both Celtics-Knicks games, though. I don't think they have any chance of beating the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are able to stretch out the Knicks defensively. Karl Towns really has to get all the way out to the three-point line. He does not handle that very well. That's why the Knicks lost the first game on opening night by 23. And they lost the game a couple weeks ago at the Garden by 27, and that was without Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday playing in that game. The Celtics, I think, are just too much for them to handle. And look, we'll see if they can even handle the Cavs, but the problem for the Knicks is, as of now, the only way they're going to get to the Cavs is if they beat the Celtics in the second round, and I just don't see how that's happening.
So, Timmy Mack, having said all of this, what do you believe the ceiling is for a talented Knicks team, but maybe not enough to get over that Eastern Conference hump?
I tell you what, man, my optimism just faded a little bit listening to the urine-soaked wet blanket, Tim Bontemps. My goodness. But look, I can squint and create a championship ceiling here. Jalen Brunson, big-time proven playoff performer. Karl Anthony Towns, unbelievably skilled. Maybe the spirit of Willis Reed will infect him. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, guys that you can throw at primary scorers. I think you can argue there's a championship ceiling, but I don't think the elevator is going to get to that floor. I think it's going to get off probably a second round type of stop there.
The thing with this Knicks team is they're betting on the next 4 or 5 years with this group being able to stick together, giving them the kind of runway where they can eventually be a championship level team at some point during this run. Just hard to see it happening this season.
By the way, if Tim McMahon is our optimist during this current panel, we have got a game against the Trailblazers. It was all LeBron. There was no Luka Doncic coming off a back-to-back from the night before. Under 8 minutes left in the second. Lakers lead. Find James. Why not? 55-47 going into the second half. All this was, friends, is another example of how LeBron ages backwards. 78-77 after the third quarter. Again, this coming on a back-to-back. Fourth quarter, just under 10 minutes remaining. James again knocks down the three. Lakers up 5. Then, he was hitting from deep last night. So deep, put the hoop to sleep. What do you know what I did there?
I see what you did there.
James, 40 points, 4 assists, 8 rebounds, passes Michael Jordan with multiple 40-point games at the age of 40. And look, the second 40-point game for LeBron since turning 40. That's more than the rest of the NBA. I just mentioned Michael Jordan. That's pretty good company for him. Overall, it's the 79th career 40-point game, tying it with Allen Iverson for 6th most in NBA history. Back for some basketball conversation. Yes, Damian Woody's going to hang out for this. Tim McMahon, Tim Bontemps. Now, I want to zoom out before we zoom in, Brian Windhorst. How do you put into perspective what we're seeing night to night from a 40-year-old LeBron James?
Well, there's a lot of people, including LeBron, who just make an assumption at times that his career is near the end. And I'm not seeing much deterioration. And if you look at what he's done just since his 40th birthday on December 30th, he's averaging 26 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, shooting 54% from the field, 44% from 3. That's over 22 games. That's not a good week. He is not slowing down. The Lakers are 14-8 in those games. He has been absolutely awesome since his 40th birthday. And look, I know Luka is the story of the Lakers both now and into the future, but LeBron is also playing fantastic basketball. We should recognize that as well.
Yeah, he showed it again last night. It's funny he mentioned that, Tim Bontemps, when we look into the future of the Luka trade, but we are all going to focus on the present because it was just done. People think maybe this could be the catalyst to put them on a run. But why is that the wrong way to look at the Luka-LeBron situation right now, which is in the present?
Well, you look at this team, and they've got Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves, all guys who need to have the ball together to be successful, right? And you have 3 guys who need to have the ball that much. There's going to be diminishing returns. That's why we've seen when one of those guys isn't playing, the other 2 look really good, right? Because ultimately, it's hard to have all of 3 of them firing on all cylinders all at the same time. And without Anthony Davis on this team, yes, they've been on a great run. Yes, their defense has been good lately. I just don't see this team being able to play at the level defensively with this unbalanced roster to be able to be a real championship caliber team, despite the fact that LeBron still looks like a top 10 or whatever player in the league, and Luka Doncic is great, and Austin Reeves is good. There's just too much of an unbalanced nature to this team.
Yeah, and look, we believe that this trade in the long run, Tim McMahon, is going to work out much better for the Lakers. Luka, 25 years old, still entering the prime of his career. And you've covered his career for the entire time. How well do you think he'll quickly be able to expect to assimilate with LeBron and the Lakers and really his role with this team, big picture?
Yeah, we saw Luka go through something similar a couple years ago when the Mavericks traded for Kyrie